Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So let us start with the prayers. Thank you all for joining. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। उमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय पादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारणे विशेष मुखम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं नितानं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरं हरि ओम। हरे कृष्ण। So welcome back. So we are meeting after 2 weeks. Last week we had the wonderful festival of Sri Jagannath's Rath Yatra in Kuala Lumpur. We have it twice a year, the first Saturday of January, and on the same day that it happens in Puri. So the one which happens in early January happens in the area where we are staying, in Kuala Lumpur. So we were fortunate to perform some services for the pleasure of the Lord and the devotees. So it was a very nice experience. So thanks for all those who contributed, participated in various ways. It's always our great satisfaction when the Lord and His devotees are pleased. So sometimes may not always be able to understand the Lord is pleased. The devotees are pleased. We know the Lord is pleased. And sometimes we can also know that the Lord is pleased. Sometimes the Lord may reveal in His own ways that He is pleased with the devotee service. So this can happen in various ways. And as the Bhagavatam itself says that taror mula nishechenina taprityantitas skanda bhujopashakaha pranopahara chetindriyanam tathaiva sarvarhanam achyutaijya. Actually, because the Lord is the root of the entire existence, when we water the root of the tree, all the plants, the parts of the tree, the leaves, the branches, the twigs, everyone becomes watered and satisfied. Sarva arhanam achyutaijya. So those who are closely connected to the Lord, if we are sincerely connected to the Lord, and the Lord is satisfied, we in our heart, I'm not talking about mental, in our heart at a spiritual level, can actually experience the satisfaction which we can we are discerning, understand as a symptom of, the Lord being pleased. So this is the whole secret of the Bhagavad philosophy. Secret of the Bhagavad philosophy is we become happy not by trying to become happy ourselves. We become happy by watering the root of all existence. In that way, our own soul becomes happy and the entire existence becomes happy. So as we purify ourselves more and more, as we become more and more connected and in tune with the Lord, the realization of this principle will also make we can perceive it in a more and more tangible manner. Anyway, so we want to move to the topic for today. We are discussing the 6th Canto 8th chapter. In the previous, this chapter is entitled the Narayana Kavacha Shield. So a quick background of what we've discussed in the earlier chapter. The earlier chapter 6.7 is Indra offends his spiritual master Brihaspati. So we discussed about this interesting episode. I'll not go into detail, but essentially Indra being, in spite of being the king of the Devatas, a devotee, being so glorified, so worshipped, so powerful, so opulent. He has beauty, he has beautiful wife, he has strong senses, he has power, he has wealth, he has worship. You name it and he has. And in his assembly sit the Devatas, over whom he presides. And not only they sit, sometimes, we may be a boss and in a meeting, our staff may be sitting with us. But here it's not just they're sitting, there are Gandharvas, Apsaras and Vidyadharas and others who are singing his glories, stotras. So, this kind of environment, it becomes easy to get a bit intoxicated. Mother. One gets a bit carried away and forgets that he is actually, all his opulences are actually gifts of the Lord. One sometimes thinks, oh, yeah, I'm great. So anyway, Brihaspati, his spiritual master of Devatas, walks into the assembly. Indra sees him but acts as if he didn't see him. Brihaspati waits for a moment to see whether Indra is doing what he ought to do, which is to stand up and receive his spiritual master and offer his spiritual master a seat. But Indra is too busy enjoying in the assembly. Brihaspati, being a great Brahmana, he doesn't protest. He doesn't start giving bad words or criticism. He said when a Vaishnava is offended, the Vaishnava just quietly moves away from the place. For his personal insult. Of course, if Guru or Krishna is insulted, then the devotee, based on the situation and circumstance, may choose to defend the honor of the Lord and his devotees according to time, place, circumstance. Otherwise, for personal insult, the devotees are not too eager. Say, oh, you didn't respect me. Oh, you didn't do this. You don't know who I am. Of course, Brihaspati may not have been personally upset at not being honored, but sometimes the Guru, the superior, has to show his displeasure so that the disciples can learn proper behavior. Otherwise, how will the disciples learn? Anyway, Brihaspati just quietly walked away. Within a few moments, Indra realized his mistake. He started calling names to himself. Oh, I'm like this, I did this, I did this. And then he quickly left the assembly, went to the house of Brihaspati. But Brihaspati knew through his yogic power the Indra is coming. He was not in a mood to quickly forgive him. So he disappeared with his mystic power. Indra comes back, Indra looks for him and he realizes I cannot find. And Indra, even being the king of the Devatas, because the spiritual master is at a higher level of spiritual attainment, Indra, with all his godly powers, couldn't figure out where Brihaspati is. So he wasn't just hiding. You cannot hide from the Devatas simply by hiding in your cellar, in your attic, under a tree or in a bomb shelter. Devatas know who's where. But this is through some mystical process, they become untraceable. So Brihaspati became untraceable, and by virtue of this offense, the devatas lose their power. So whenever Vaishnavas are offended, Guru, Brahmanas, cows are offended, it results in the offender losing his good fortune. On the other hand, the Asuras who were very nicely serving their Guru Shukracharya, they became very powerful. So this is again going back to the principle that by serving the sadhus, one gets power. Even demons get power ultimately by worshipping the sadhus, by doing yajna, by doing tapasya. There is no other path. Even though they do this, they do it to get power to achieve something negative, but the path is still this. So anyways, cut a long story short, taking advantage of the situation, the Asuras who had been previously many times defeated, again attack the Devatas, and this time they drive the Devatas away. Indra is also defeated and he has to run away, vacate his capital. So Indra becomes very morose. He goes to Brahmaji, asks what I should do and this and that. And Brahmaji says, you made such a foolish mistake. So while things will take time to rectify for you, in the meanwhile, I suggest that you accept this great personality, Vishwarupa, as your Guru. And we discussed about the antecedents of Vishwarupa. He had a Devta lineage from one side, a Danav lineage from the other side. So he was a little bit inclined towards the demons also. But nonetheless, he felt very honored when he was approached by the Devatas headed by Indra to become their Purohit. And he agreed. And generally, a Brahmana is not supposed to refuse because it's the duty of the Purohit to guide those to take shelter of them. So he agreed. He became the Guru of the Devatas. He was very powerful, very learned. And Indra's main objective at this point in time was, how do I now get my kingdom back? So even when a person approaches a spiritual master, there can be many reasons. One can learn the Vedas from the spiritual master to achieve Artha, Dharma, Kama. Or one can take shelter of the spiritual master to learn Vedanta, which begins with moksha and culminates in bhakti. Prabhupada was very vocal in this regard. One does not approach the spiritual master to solve material problems. One approaches the spiritual master to put a permanent end to material existence. That is the right purpose for approaching the spiritual master. Anyway, the Purohit has a slightly different role because the Purohit is also engaged in guiding the family with respect to observance of Vedic rituals and many other things. So the main purpose of approaching Vishwarupa was as a Purohit, and Brahmaji had told them specifically, he will be able to guide you. So in the end of the previous chapter, it was mentioned by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukadeva Goswami that having learned the Narayana Kavacha prayers from Vishwarupa, Indra was able to defeat the demons and regain his opulence. So Parikshit Maharaj is, became very inquisitive. Oh, Narayana Kavacha prayers, just learned some prayers and he got so powerful that he could defeat even the Devatas, the demons and get back his kingdom. Huh? Please tell me. Oh, Shukadev Goswami, please explain to me that Vishnu mantra, that armor, because Narayana Kavacha. Kavacha means armor. Like we talk about Karna, who was born with Kavacha and Kundal. Kavach and Kundal. So Kavacha means armor. So armor can be made of steel. That is a gross armor, armor can also be made by mantras. So this is Vishnu mantra armor, a special protective chant which creates a kind of a protective armor all around the body of the devotee, which will enable him to remain protected in all situations and all circumstances. So Shukdev Goswami is requested by Parikshita, please explain that Narayan Kavacha prayers. This seems to be a very interesting topic. And how Indra, by virtue of the Narayana Kavacha prayers, achieved success in battle. So Shukdev Goswami obliged, he said, yes, Indra, who's Devaraj, he learnt it from Vishwarupa, who was their Purohit. So now I will explain to you. When Indra approached Vishwarupa, how Vishwarupa taught the Narayan Kavacha prayers to Indra. Please listen. So the rest of this particular chapter is actually the description of the Narayan prayers. The prayers themselves, how they are to be recited, preparation, recitation, and Falashruti. So if you see here, amongst the Vedic fold, whenever we talk about any chanting, the chanting doesn't directly begin with the chanting. Typically, first we cleanse ourselves, then there is some form of nyasa, then there is a dhyana, then there is sometimes invocation. The dhyan includes usually the invocation of the deity, then glorification, the stuti, the stotra, the kavacha, and then it concludes with the falashruti. Falashruti means the glory of recitation of that particular chant. And you will see most of the stotras will follow this sequence, and the Narayan Kavacha is no exception. So, of course, we are not going to go through all the verses in detail. It's a very, very beautiful prayer. And it's nice if you can actually by heart this and recite it, because it is very, very wonderful meditation. And as we go through the prayer, you realize how there are many verses which are such beautiful meditations on different forms of the Lord, on different features and aspects of the Lord. So we'll have a quick overview of these prayers. So what are the preliminary procedures? So Vishwarup starts beginning. He says to Indra, as soon as you see a fearful situation, some dangerous situation that somebody is going to attack you or something may happen, then you should start invoking this armor, Kavacha, on yourself. But before you invoke the Kavacha, first you must purify yourself. So how you purify yourself? Very standard process. First, wash your hands and feet and do achman. So any process. So even for us, at home also, when we do any form of deity worship, even simple Naivedya offering, anything, we should wash our feet, our hands, and do achman, and then engage in service. This is the most, and if you have eaten something, rinse our mouth. In fact, Shastra says how many times one should rinse. So I'm not going to go into all those details, but at least 3 times one should rinse, wash hands, feet, do achman, and then engage. One can chant prayers like Om Apavitro Pavitrava Sarvavastam Gatopi Va Yasmareta Pundarikaksham Savayyabhyantara Shuchihi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu. This is not mentioned in the Kavacha itself, but the Prabhupada mentions this in the verse, in the sense that by remembering Vishnu, one purifies. So even when we are doing Ashman, what is it we are doing when we do Ashman? Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha. We are invoking the name of the Lord and purifying ourselves by directing the potency of the name of the Lord into the water and drinking it. That is what we do in Achman, no? Put water, we look at the water, we chant the mantra and drink. So it purifies. But even if that is not always possible, simply by meditating on Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. One can have a absorbed focus meditation on Vishnu. Even that is adequate. Purify one. So one is external cleanliness, one is internal cleanliness. Both is important. So hands, feet, mouth, Achman, external. Of course, Achman also involves internal because Achman also invokes, purifies one internally, and then the remembrance of the Lord. Very common amongst Vedic ceremonies is one also puts on a kusha grass ring to protect, because that also has a energetic positive protection for oneself. It is said one should sit facing the north silently, not chit chat, nothing, just sit silently, face the north. After having purified oneself with this preliminary, then one should invoke the various types of nyasa. So nyas is also a very common technique of energetically invoking syllables of a mantra and placing the mantra over different syllables of the mantra over different parts of your body, which also creates the right setting for you to actually chant that prayers. So a couple of nyasas are mentioned. First is Anga Nyas. Anga Nyas means the nyas of the body. So he explains to him how by chanting the mantra Om Namo Narayanaya on different parts of the body, from the feet to the knees to the thighs to the belly to the heart to the chest to the mouth and to the head. Om Namo Narayanaya. So I'm not going to show all the process, but basically he places 8 syllables on 8 parts as they are chanted. And then reverse order. Om Namo Narayanaya. Then from here, Na, Ra, Na, you go in the reverse order and to Om backwards. Then that is the Anga Nyas, Nyas for the whole body. So you place the mantra on your body and then you do Karan Nyasa. Just in pujaris, before prayer they'll do like this, like this, like this. Like this. I don't know how many of you have observed this. There is one Karan Nyasa. So for Karan Nyasa, the mantra is the Dwadash Akshara mantra, which is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So that is to be used. So there is a particular way, Om, then you say the syllable, then Om, you say the next syllable. So there is a particular way. It's described here. I'm not going to go into all those details. So Anganyasa and Karanyasa. Anganyasa performed through Om Namo Narayanaya. Karanyasa performed through Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Then one should meditate. Swarup is explaining this to Indra. On oneself as qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord. Not that one is God, but that qualitatively one is spiritual in nature. Aham Brahmasmi. I am part and parcel of the Supreme. So sometimes this is also known as Ahangraha Upasana. Sometimes people misunderstand this kind of a concept to mean that I am God. It is not meaning that I am God. It's actually meant to understand qualitatively I and God are, not quantitatively, qualitatively. Because I'm part and parcel. God is the unlimited ocean. I'm a drop. Prabhupada says, we are like rivers flowing into the sea. So having done this background, wash hands, feet, Achman, sit facing the north, put kusha grass. Then after that do Anganyas, Karanyas, meditate on oneself and part and parcel. And then one can begin reciting the Narayana Kavacha prayers. So the Narayana Kavacha itself begins from verse 12 in this chapter. Okay, the proper Kavacha itself. So sometimes devotees, when they recite, we are not always sitting down and doing the Anganyas, Karanyas, Even if you recite directly from this point, it is also fine. I'm just mentioning for those who are interested in reciting. Of course, one can recite all verses also. That's also fine. But verse 12. So the first verse is actually a dhyana verse. Usually in stotras, formal stotras, one first begins by doing meditation on the deity. Because one is doing mentally worshipping the deity and glorifying the deity, first one visualizes in one's consciousness the transcendental form of the deity. And then the remaining verses are offered to the deity whose meditation we have just performed. So what is the meditation? It's a very beautiful verse. So the meditation here is on a form of Vishnu who's standing on the shoulders of Garuda. And this murti of Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayana, is an 8-armed form. 8 arms. And we have discussed this 8 arms of the Lord a few times. So how is this dhyana? So some verses I'll just recite. Om, the Kavacha begins with Om. Om Harir Vidadhyan, Mama Sarvarakshan, Yastangri Padma, Patagendra Prishte, Darari Charmasi Gadeshu Chapa Pashan, Dadhano Ashtaguno Ashtabahu. That the Lord with his Ashtabhuja, his 8 arms, he is Nyastangri Padma, Patagendra Prishte. Patagendra means Garuda, the Lord of the birds. Patagendra Prishte is on the shoulders. Harir Vidadhyan, whose meditation Hari is with. For what purpose? Mama Sarva Rakshan, for protecting me in all ways. I am meditating on Lord Vishnu. What kind of meditation I am doing? He's situated on the shoulder of Garuda. And his 8 arms are holding what? Darari, Charmasi, Gadeshu, Chapa, Pashan, Dadhano, Ashtaguno. He's holding the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, bow, arrow, shield, sword, and a noose. Pashan. And what is he surrounded with? Ashtaguno, Ashtabahu. Ashtabahu is 8 arms. And the 8 mystic perfections are also surrounding him. He's Yogeshwara. So that is the meditation. So one begins the Kavacha, that beautiful meditation. Then, after having that particular meditation, the next section of the Kavacha is where Vishwarupa informs Indra that you should invoke various incarnations of the Lord to protect you in various kinds of physical situations, physical locations. So the Kavacha offers prayers in different sections. So the first section of the prayers is an invocation for the Lord to protect you in certain places. So first section is places. Second set of prayers is for the Lord to protect you in for different specific reasons and circumstances. And the third section is for the Lord to protect you in certain times of the day. So time, place, circumstance. That is why Sarva Rakshan, we want to be protected in all ways, which means at all places, at all times, in all ways. Right? So that's why this prayer is very comprehensive. So first he talks about places, and they are very beautiful verses. So, I mean, we do not have time, or maybe at the end, if we have time, we can just recite the entire Kavacha very nicely. So he invokes Matsya first. For what? Where do you think Matsya will protect one? Jaleshu mam rakshato Matsya murti. In water, may Lord protect me in his form of Matsya. Yado ganebhya varunasya pashat. And also protect me from the pash of Varuna. Because in the water, not only there are fearful aquatic animals, even Varuna and his associates are there. Let me be protected even from their attack. स्थलेषु माया वटुवामनो व्यात् त्रिविक्रमः खे avatu vishwarupa. That whether I'm in the land or in the sky, if I'm on the land, may I be protected by Vamana. If I'm in the sky, may I be protected by Trivikrama, Vishwarupa. Because why? Vamana extends his feet from the land and extends to the sky. So that entire zone between land to sky, who will protect me? Vamana will protect me. And if I'm in very difficult, dangerous positions, what kind of difficult, dangerous situations? Like the forest, like a battlefield where there can be danger at any moment. So for very dangerous situations, whose meditation do we do? Narasimha. The sudden danger, we need sudden action. Narasimha is the one who will appear instantly from the pillar to save his devotee. Durgeshwata Vyaji Khadishu Prabhu Paya Narasimho Asurayuta Parihi Vimunchato Yasya Maha Attahasam Disho Vinedyur Napatam Shagarbaha. In these difficult Durgeshu, very difficult situations, may Narasimha protect me. That Narasimha who is so fierce that when he roars, the wives of the demons get miscarriages. Vimunchato yasya maha attahasam disho vinedyur napatam shagarbaha. That is the kind of fear, terror which Narasimha's roar creates. Then, if I am in the paths, on the streets, who will protect me? Let Varaha protect me. When I am on the path. May Parshuram protect me on the top of mountains and Ramachandra protect me when I am in foreign countries. So that is the meditation. Okay. So Matsya in water, just recollection. Matsya in water, Vamana on the land, and Trivikrama or Vishwarupa in the sky. The same personality, but in two different names. Narasimha in all kinds of difficult places, Varaha in the streets, which means when you are outside doing your work, Parshuram on the top of mountains, and Ramachandra for foreign countries. Now we can analyze and think of why each of these deities are chosen for each of these situations, but we don't have that time. It's not mentioned here explicitly, but if you think about it and the pastimes and the activities of these deities, you'll figure out why their names are mentioned in these various situations. Having offered these prayers, then he starts talking about the different kinds of situations in which we want the Lord to protect. So many situations, almost 10-15 situations are mentioned. This is very interesting because when we are asking for something to be, and in a book literature like Srimad Bhagavatam, we should think that these are the things that we should be careful to ensure we remain protected. So I'm going to quickly recite this. There are beautiful verses. We may not have time to recite all the verses. May Lord Narayana Mam Ugra Dharmat Akilat Pramadan Narayana Patu Naraschahasa. May I be protected from false religious systems. Sometimes one thinks one is following a religious system, but one is following something bogus. Let Lord Narayana protect me from Ugra Dharma and all kinds of mistakes that I make in following the principles of religion. Hilat Pramadan. And Naraschahasat, and Lord Nara from unnecessary pride, because sometimes one follows religious principles but becomes proud. I am a senior devotee. I am so great. I'm so appreciated. I'm a preacher. I'm temple president. I am so and so. Even within the religion, one develops pride. May Nara protect me from false pride, and may Narayan protect me from false religious principles. May Dattatreya protect me from falling from devotional service. Very interesting. Dattastva yoga datha yoganatha paya gunisha kapila karma bandha. And may Lord Kapila protect me from the bondage of fruitive activities. Sanat Kumaro Avatu Kamadeva. May Sanat Kumar protect me from lusty desires because they would distract one from spiritual life. Hayashirsha Mam Patideva Helana. And Lord Hayashirsha, the horse-headed form of the Lord, may he protect me from neglecting to offer obeisances to the Lord. So failure to respect the Lord or his devotees is also cause of fall down. Once when Prabhupada was, I think he was in Mayapur and he was walking down and many of his disciples were around. All the disciples were offering their obeisances. One disciple just looked at Prabhupada, he stood by, but he didn't bother to offer obeisances. Prabhupada noticed that he didn't say directly to the disciple, but after he went a few steps ahead, mentioned to the devotee who was immediately accompanying him and walking with him, said this is the beginning of his fall down. So as soon as a person starts treating the Lord or the Lord's representative as an ordinary being, not offering proper respects is the beginning of the fall down. Indra did the same mistake, isn't it? What was the mistake which Indra did? Just neglected. His guru came in, just carried on with his party. Yeah, he will come, his seat is there, he knows where his seat is, why I should bother? Indifferent, the spiritual masters. That's also offense. Devarshi Varya, who's Devarshi Varya? Narad Muni, Purusharchanantarad. That may I not make any mistakes in my deity worship. May Narad Muni protect me. Tumo Harirmam Narayana Shishad. And I don't want to go to hell. May Kurmadev protect me from going to hell. Because Kurma is the one who gives support. Isn't it? Kurmadev's special position is the Kurma is the deity of stability. Varaha is the deity of elevation of consciousness. It's us up. Kurma gives stability because the entire universe is resting on his back, right? Discussed in the 5th canto. And the lowest part of it is the hellish planets. The hellish planets are closest to Kurma. Oh Kurmadev, may I never go to hell. Please protect me. Kurmo Harirmam Narayana Shesha. Oh, I'm going very slow. I'm telling you too many details. I will not complete the chapter like this. I need to go faster. Okay. So I'll go faster, sorry. Otherwise, I will not complete the chapter. There are 42 verses. We are only done 18 verses. 940. It's so beautiful. So please read it in great detail. So may Dhanvantari protect me from all kinds of illnesses and eating the wrong things. So physical illness and eating the wrong thing is also which is contributing to physical illness. May Dhanvantari protect. May Rishabh protect me from the fear of the dvandva, of the dualities of the world. May the Lord in the form of Yajna protect me from defamation. May Lord Balram protect me from injuries caused by others. May Lord Shesha protect me from envious serpents. May Vyasa, the compiler of the Vedas, protect me from ignorance of scriptural knowledge. May Lord Buddha protect me from activities which are opposed to the Vedas. And may Kalki protect me from the dirt of Kali Yuga. Yeah, also very nice. So in this way, all these various situations are mentioned. So very interesting. Yeah? So quite an interesting list of protect me from this. So as a devotee, we should also aspire to remain protected from this. That is our learning. And the various deities which are mentioned are actually, of course, Krishna is the sum total of all the deities. So we protect to Krishna is adequate. But these deities are especially suited to grant these benedictions, the deities which are mentioned. Now comes asking for protection at various times of the day. So it is explained in the scriptures. Of course, we talk about 24-hour day, but in the scriptures, the day is divided into 30 ghatikas. And each ghatika is roughly 24 minutes in length. And there are 6 prahara. There are 6 divisions of the day and of the night. So there is a different deity, a different form of the Lord, which is in charge of the each and every prahara. So the next section is praying to these various deities. May Keshava, who has his gada, protect me in the pratah prahara. Govinda, who's playing his flute, may he protect me in the second part of the day, asangavaha. Narayana, who is full of all potencies, may he protect me in the prana, the third part of the day. Vishnu with the disc, may he protect me at noon. Madhusudan with his bow, may he protect me in the afternoon. Aparanna, Madhava, protect me in the evening, Sayankala. Rishikesha, may he protect me in the Pradosha period, which is the beginning of the night. Padmanabha, may he protect me in the Ardharatra, Shita Prahara. And the Lord, whose Srivatsa Dhama, on whose chest the Srivatsa mark is located, he protect me from midnight until early morning. Apara Ratra. And Janardana, who's carrying a sword, may he protect me in the last part of the night, the last 4 ghatikas, which are known as the Pratyusha. Early morning, Prabhata, may Damodara protect me. And at all the junctions of the day, may Vishveshwara protect me. So all the praharas are mentioned, and the junction also separately may I be protected. This is also very interesting contemplation. Then there's a very interesting section from verses 23 to 26. There are prayers to each and every weapon of the Lord, the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. There are prayers. So these are, if you want to meditate, if you want to recite verses in glorification of Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, the sword, the shield, the bow, arrow of this 8-armed Vishnu form, there are very, very beautiful prayers. So the first prayer is the prayer to Sudarshan Chakra. So it's a nice verse. Those who are fond of Sudarshan Chakra, who is the protector of the devotees, you can meditate on this particular verse. Very beautiful. Chakram yuganta nadatigmanemi brahmat samantad bhagvat prayuktam dandagdi arisainymashu taksham yathavata sakho hutashah. Very beautiful. So this chakra who has been set into motion by the Lord, Yuganta Nalatigmanemi, burning, Brahmat Samantad Bhagvat Prayuktam, going around everywhere, instructed by the Lord. May it burn away all our enemies to ashes. In what way? Just like dry grass is burned away by fire when wind blows over it. Let it effortlessly burn everything, just like that. So Sudarshan also goes all over the world and destroys the demons. Kaksham yathavata sukho hutasha. Very beautiful. Then there is a glorification of the Kaumodoki Gada of the Lord. So there is a glorification on description of the characteristic, and there is a request for protection in each of these verses. Gade ashani sparshana visfulinge nishpinde nishpindajita prayasi pushmandavainayaka yaksharaksho utagrahams churnaya churnayarin. Oh Gada, you are so powerful that whenever you make an impact, sparks are emanating. Just like thunderbolt. Gada is just like thunderbolt. And you are so dear to the Lord. Ajita Priyasi. You're very dear. Ajita. And what is my request? Kushma Andavaina Yaka Yaksharaksho. All these negative kind of entities who may attack me, all demoniac subtle entities, may they be Kushmanda, Vainayaka, Yaksha, Rakshasa, Bhuta, Graha, Churnayarin, destroy them to powder, make them powder. Churnayarin. make all these enemies of mine. So if somebody is attacked by negative entities, any kinds of ghostly things, huh, or by ghostly entities, and the Gada protects them. You recite this. Gade Ashani Sparshana Vispulinge Nishpinda Nishpinda Jita Prakas. Then the prayer goes to the Panchajanya conch. Tvam yatu dhan paramata pretamatrip pishacha vipragrahagora drishtin Darendra Vidravaya Krishna Purito Himaswano Arer Hridayani Kampayan. Oh, you Shankar, you are so dear to the Lord. You are being kissed, huh, by the Lord, huh, because He's touching His lips as He's blowing you. And the sound, the transcendental sound which is coming from you, creates fear because it is blown by the air coming from the lips of the Lord. Sound which comes creates fear. That vibration creates fear in the hearts of the enemies. And that conch sound drives away also all kinds of vidravaya, yatudhanas, pramatas, pretas, matris, pishachas, and brahma rakshas. So the Gada and the Shankha are effective for driving away negative entities. So even in our home, when we blow the conch, it is said the conch sound removes all negative energies and influences. Then the Lord's Asivara, his sword, is glorified. Tvam tigmadharasi varari sainyam isha prayukto mama chindi chindi chakshumsi charmat chatashandra chadaya visham aghonam harpapa chakshusham. O sword, who is engaged by the Lord, who is extremely sharp, please chindi chindi cut. Cut what? Cut my enemies pieces. Chindi chindi. And O shield, who is marked with 100 brilliant moons. The shield of the Lord apparently has a decoration of 100 moons on it. Huh? You are shielding, because you are a shield. You are shielding. So shield me also. Shield me from what? Chadaya, from the sinful glances of my enemies, and pluck their eyes out. Huh? So this kind of violent language is there because the whole idea is for Indra to defeat the demons. So we as Vaishnavas may not want to particularly think like this, but prayer is meant for a specific purpose. So now we have prayed to the Lords, Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, sword, and shield. Interestingly, and I do not know why, there is no direct verse glorifying the bow and arrow. I do not know, so I can't comment, but eight hands, right? Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, bow arrow is in one hand, then there is sword and shield in two hands, and one hand there is pasha. But amongst the weapons described here are the Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, of course. Sorry, not Padma, Shankha, Chakra, Gada. Padma is not a weapon. Of course, the Shankha is not a weapon, but it can be used to repel enemies. The Padma, which is held by the Lord, is used especially to bless the devotees. The Shankha can also be used to bless the devotee because the Shankha was placed on the head of Dhruva. As soon as the Shankha was touched, he immediately started speaking transcendental poetry glorifying the Lord. So generally in the Bhagavad, it is mentioned that the Shankha and Chakra, the Chakra and the Gada are used to protect, and the Chakra and the Gada are used to protect, and the Shankha and the Padma are used to bless, generally. But the Shankha also performs the dual purpose of also, through the transcendental vibration, repelling all negative energies and entities. Then we're in the last part of uh, the Kavacha. So we have covered place, circumstances, time, and the various weapons, the Anga, Astra and Anga. Now there are prayers to the Lord's various attributes. So one invokes protection by the Lord's various energies and attributes. So these last verses are also philosophically very profound. We don't have so much time. We have barely 10 minutes. यन्नो भयं ग्रहेभ्यो भूत केतुभ्यो नृभ्य एव च सरिसृपेभ्यो दंष्ट्रिभ्यो भूतेभ्यो अम्होभ्य एव च सर्वाणि एतानि भगवन्नाम रूपानुकीर्तनात् प्रयान्तु संशयं सद्यो येनः श्रेयः प्रतीपकाः. Whatever kind of fearful situation may be created by the demons, by the planets, by the meters, by envious living beings, by snakes, by animals, by ghosts, by other people, by the elements, by my sinful activities, whatever it is, let them all be destroyed by the glory and the potencies of the Supreme Lord. Any destruction, any danger to my well-being of any sort, may I remain protected by what? By glorifying the Lord's name and form and qualities. Bhagavan Nama Rupa Anukirtana. So the central message is what? The central message is by continuously glorifying the name, form, qualities of the Lord, all inauspiciousness is removed. So it's very, very beautiful. Next verse is glorifying Garuda, because the Lord is standing on Garuda. Garudo Bhagavan Stotras Tobas Chandomaya Prabhu Rakshatvashesha Krichebhyo Vishwaksenah Swanamabhi. Garuda, on whose shoulders the Lord is standing, may he protect us from all dangerous situations. May Lord Vishwaksena protect us from all the miseries by his names. So the invocation is that, this is a very beautiful verse which kind of almost summarizes this previous section. Sarvapadbhyo harer nama rupa yana yudhani naha buddhi indriya manapranan antu parshada shanaha. From all kinds of dangers, sarvapadbhyo, may I be protected. What kind of, may my intelligence, my senses, my life airs, everything about me may be protected. By what? Harer nama pa yana dhani. May the Lord's name, form, as well as all his various weapons and other paraphernalia, it protect me in all ways. Me, my mind, my senses, my intelligence, my life air, may always protect. May they always be protected by the Lord. How they are able to protect me? Just like the Lord is all powerful. His various weapons, his various energies are also all powerful because they are non-different from him. How the chakra is so powerful, how the gada is so powerful. Yatahi Bhagavan eva vastutah sadasachayat satye nanena nah sarve yanti nasham upadravaha. The Lord's part and parcels in energies are also vested with his different energies, and they can protect us from all kinds of dangerous situations. So a very beautiful contemplation, and this is why it is said that this prayer, this the beginning of this prayer, it is mentioned that this prayer will have effect only for those who are devatas. So you may say, oh Prabhu, I am not devata, why should I chant? So devata here doesn't mean you have to be sitting in Indraloka, in Indra's assembly. Sura, it is referring to the Sura, which means you have to be a devotee of the Lord, because this is an entire devotional meditation. If a person doesn't have a devotional attitude, demoniac people cannot recite this Kavacha and invoke its potencies. Only devotees can invoke its potency. So if we are having divine qualities, then we will be able to tap into the power. Of course, ideally, even such Kavachas have to be given. It's like it was given by Vishwarupa to Indra. Ideally, it should be received. But nonetheless, it will also be beneficial for us if we chant even otherwise. Because in one sense, we have all received it in the form of Srimad Bhagavad. यथैकात्म्यानुभावानां विकल्परहितः स्वयं भूषणायुधलिङ्गाख्या धत्ते शक्तिः स्वमायया तेनैव सत्यमानेन सर्वज्ञो भगवान् हरिः पातु सर्वैः स्वरूपैर्नः सदा सर्वत्र सर्वगः. I'm not going to go through all the points, but essentially he's saying that the Lord is one. All his extensions, his angas, his incarnations, weapons are all manifestations of his personal internal potencies. They are non-different from him. The Lord, and this is the person who has this proper understanding of the Lord as all powerful, as all cognizant. He can understand that the Lord is fully able to protect one through all these forms that we have meditated upon. He can protect us always, everywhere, in all manner. Right? Place, time, circumstances. Because he is fully potent. This creation is also a manifestation of his energy. It is different from him, but it is within him. So one who meditates on the Lord with this understanding never sees any difference between the Lord's existence and the Lord. Not that they are one, but he sees the intimate connection that nothing is outside the Lord. So this is the Bhagavad philosophy. This is the philosophy of the Gita. Like Krishna says, I am in everything, but everything is not in me. He who understands this has understood the Lord properly. And at the end of the stotra, it concludes again by meditating on Lord Narasimha. Lord Narasimha is very, very special in terms of protection. So, it's a very beautiful verse which I will recite, conclude this section. Then there are a few more verses in the chapter which is more of Falashruti. So the verse goes like this. Vidikshu dikshurdhvam adha samantad antar bahir bhagavan narasimha prahapayal loka bhayam svanena swatejasagrasta samasta tejaha. In all direction, in all corners, up, down, left, right. Bhagwan Narasimha, through his Swatejasa, his own transcendental influence, is overshadowing all directions with his potency and influence and destroying all kinds of obstacles. Prahapayal loka bhayam svanena. All kinds of fear is being dispelled. Why? Lord Narasimha's unlimited splendor is shining in all directions and driving away all fear. This is the conclusive meditation. You get the picture? Imagine Lord Narasimha. It is splendor shining in all directions, and the meditation is that splendor is like a blast. Dispelling all fear, all ignorance, everything in all directions, and protecting his devotee. And that effulgence of the Lord is so strong that all other effulgences, all other powers which are in opposition to the devotee, they get overwhelmed and scattered. So they Swatejasa grasta samastate. Grasta means it overshadows, overwhelms, it covers. Correct? Just like Prabhupada so many times says, right? The firefly may seem very wonderful at night, but as soon as the sun rises, can see the firefly. Swatejasa grasta samasta tejaha. So there may be so many enemies that the devotee may feel are in his life, but in front of the unlimited power and grace of the Lord, all other opposition fades away as nothing. So that is the meditation of the devotee. So Vishwarupa concludes, because that was the last verse of the Kavacha itself. He says, O Indra, I have described to you this whole entire Kavacha. If you adorn this Kavacha in the process with the prayers that I have mentioned to you, certainly you will be able to conquer the demons. And then he starts glorifying this particular Kavacha. So this Kavacha is so powerful, Indra, that if you have adorned yourself with this Kavacha, if you are wearing this Kavacha by invoking this prayer, even if you look at somebody or even if you touch somebody, even with your feet, just by that, that person also becomes free from all fear. That is the power of this Kavacha. Which means if you have adorned it, if you look at somebody, he also becomes protected. If you touch somebody with your feet, that person also gets the protection. That is the power of the Kavacha. So this transcendental knowledge that I have given you is connected with the divine potencies of Lord Narayana. He who actually invokes this potency of Lord Narayana is never disturbed, never put into any kind of danger. What kind of dangers? Raja from the government, Dasyu from any rogues and thieves, Graha Adibhya from the demons or any planetary influences, Vyadhi Adivihi, or even any diseases, Karahichit at any time. And then he tells a very small story as he concludes this chapter. He says that once there was a Brahman by the name of Kaushika who used to chant this prayer. So it's not that Vishwarupa wrote this. He says in the ancient times, a Brahman by the name of Kaushik would chant this prayer and he gave up his body. Perhaps he attained samadhi or something. He gave up his body in a particular desert by his mystic power. He left his body. And it is said the remains of his body, the skeleton, was remaining in that place. But that place was so surcharged by the energy of Narayan Kavach, because he would meditate on Narayan Kavach. Once the king of the Gandharvas, Chitraratha, was flying with an airplane in the sky, happened to be passing over the desert. Accidentally, he passed over the place, flying in his airplane, over the place where this Kaushika had left his body. But that energy of that place, because of the Kavacha recitation, was so strong. It is said that the Gandharva Chitra sitting on his rath, on his flying airplane, he became so influenced by the potency of Narayan Kavach that he fell from his airplane and fell down. Tasyopari vimanena Gandharvapatirekada yayau chitraratasthiribhir vruto yatra vijakshayaha. Gagananyapatat sadhyaha samimnano hi vakshiraha. Head down he fell. Savala khilya vachanad astinyadaya vismitaha. Rasya prachi saraswatyam snatva dham swam pragat. So he was very shocked. He was struck with wonder. What happened? Suddenly my airplane lost all power. I fell headlong down. What kind of power is this? Then he came to know, that is because of the power of this Kaushika Brahman. His bones are still here, and the bones are still emanating this kind of a divine energy that I fell down from my thing. So Saraswati river happened to be nearby. Then he took bath and all that in the river. Then Chitraratha, having realized the potency of the Narayan Kavach prayers, he returned to his home. So the chapter concludes by Shukadev Goswami narrating all this to Maharaj Parikshit. And he says, Ya idam shrunuyat kale yo dharayati chadratah tam namasyanti bhutani muchyate sarvato bhayat. One who employs this armor or hears about it with faith and veneration, when he is afraid because of any conditions in this material world, he is immediately freed from all dangers and is worshipped by all living entities. एतान विद्यमानो अधिगतो विश्वरूपाच्छतक्रतुः त्रैलोक्य लक्ष्मी बुभुजे विनिर्जित्य देसुरा. So the conclusion is that Indra, the performer of 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas, he received this prayer from Vishwarupa. He conquered the devatas, the demons with this power, then re-established himself again as Trailokya Adhipati. He regained his power. So that concludes the chapter. This is the glory of the Narayana Kavacha shield. So, if any devotees would like to recite, of course, there are so many prayers, but this is a particularly special prayer which is for recitation. Some devotees choose to recite these prayers. And anyway, they are directly verses of the Bhagavad, so that's the special place in the Bhagavad as well. But it's a nice meditation. I don't chant them every day, but but I have by-hearted the verses. I don't remember all the verses now immediately on top of my head, but most of the verses I am able to recite, maybe with a little bit of help. Okay, so I'm opening up the session for questions. Yes, Suraj Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have two questions. Prabhu, Narayana prayers, right? And if you see in ISKCON, right, the Narsimha prayers are recited quite often, right, Prabhu? So Narsimha prayers is a superset of these prayers, or how?
That's why I mentioned, right? There are many prayers for protection.
Okay.
So even in these prayers, we see, right, Narasimha is finally invoked. Narasimha is finally invoked at the conclusion of the prayers, that from his teja, all other tejas are overcome. So the purpose is not different. See, this prayer was very specifically given by Vishwarupa to Indra to overcome the power of the demon. See, certain prayers are meant for very specific purposes. Of course, simply if one chants Krishna, that will also make one free from all fear. Okay? Because Krishna is Abhaya Charana. So it would not be right to protect, but there are certain prayers which invoke certain protective energies. So these stotras, this kind of prayer, these prayers actually invoke, when they are recited properly and received from a proper authority, they actually invoke a kavacha which will actually protect one from all kinds of attack. They invoke subtle energies. Just like when you chant the mantra for Brahmastra, you can invoke Brahmastra. It's a subtle weapon which you can invoke. So this kavacha actually creates an armor around you. So within the realm of protection, there are many prayers. We recite even Narsinga, there is Stotra. There are 108 names of Narsinga. There are Narsinga prayers. So the Narsinga pranam that we recite in our society, our purpose also is, we are not here to defeat the demons and get back the three kingdoms, Bhuvaswaha, and rule over them. That is not our objective, like it was Indra's objective. Our objective of worshipping Lord Narasimha is twofold. The main objective is to remove all impediments in the path of pure devotional service. And also because unless we are free from other obstacles also in our life, because even material obstacles can create disturbance in our spiritual practices. So ideally, we want to be free from both material and spiritual impediments. Of course, if one is spiritually very strong, then material impediments don't impact one spiritually. But because we are not always so strong spiritually, sometimes material impediments may actually overwhelm us and affect us spiritually. So we want ourselves to be protected in all ways. So if you ask me a very simple question, Prabhu, is it adequate to just chant the Narsingha Pranam? The answer is yes.
Yeah, Prabhu. So I have one more question, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right, Prabhu? And Narsimha protection also. So when we do chant Narsimha protection prayers, when we recite, so is it giving us spiritual elevation and protection? Why not we just go with Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Both are doing the same.
Yeah. So the mood of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is that, O Krishna, O Radharani, please engage me in your service. In the process of attainment of loving service to Radha and Krishna, there will be obstacles. And Krishna himself, in the form of Narsimha, is very eager to remove those obstacles from the path of his devotees so that they can attain love for Radha and Krishna. Our objective of worshipping Narsimha, I am talking about the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, our parampara, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, is that Narsimha is especially positively disposed to protect. Narsimha loves the devotees of Radha and Krishna more than he loves his own devotees. Because who is Narsimha? Narsimha is the personification of the anger of the Supreme Lord. The Lord who becomes angry when his devotees are disturbed is Narsimha. That beautiful, cute boy, so sweet, he becomes Narsinga when he becomes very angry. Keshava Dhrita Narahari Rupa. It's not a different person. He's in a different mood. So Krishna doesn't, Krishna you'll never see like this, jumping on somebody like that. So when he wants to do that, he becomes Narsimha. But as Narsimha, his primary mood is to protect the devotees. Protection is in two ways. Protection is protecting them from actual external attacks, and protecting them. Real protection is helping them to come closer to their ultimate goal. Yoga, Kshema. Protect what you have and give what you lack. So Narasimha is especially, when we pray to him in the mood that we want to attain pure love for Radha and Krishna, Narasimha is especially happy to bless the devotees for the attainment of that. So when we want to become free from the obstacles of offenses, the holy name, we want to be free from the anarthas in our heart which are affecting us, achieve the proper taste in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Those are the obstacles we are intending to get rid of when we are praying to Narsinga. That's our main purpose. Those other things may be there, we are having difficulties, we are having this, that's okay. Those are side benefits. So we don't see the purpose as different, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, they are not opposed to it. They go together. One is requesting to attain that love, and the other is to remove the obstacles to that love.
Got it.
So our acharyas have requested us. Of course, our primary sadhana is chanting the holy names. So there is no doubt about that. Is it that we cannot achieve Krishna Prem if we don't sing Narsinga Pranam? It's not like that. But if certain prayers are helping us, our main sadhana always remains chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is number one. These are other prayers we can chant once a day, twice a day to remove obstacles.
Yeah. So second question I'll ask later because maybe somebody wants to ask.
Yeah, you can. I'll come back to you a little later. Yeah. Sridharji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribo.
Yeah, Prabhuji, during that, like initially you said, right, Anganyasa. So there are like 8 disciples, right? So from the feet to elbow and all, we have to use like 8 syllables, right? So that is by touching or how you have
By
to?
touching.
By touch.
You touch the feet, touch the each of the parts in the sequence, chest, So you place the syllable by touching. Feet up, like this. The head
Om
and the
Namo
hip.
Narayanaya.
Yeah, Om Namo Narayana. Correct.
Yeah.
The
And
detailed
Prabhuji, one,
process is given in the there is Utpatti Nyasa, upward Nyasa, and then there is Samhara Nyasa, downward Nyasa in the reverse order. So, Utpatti Nyasa, you start with the feet, knees, thighs, belly, heart, chest, mouth, then head. Mouth, you literally touch like this
so this is after Achaman, Prabhuji.
after Achman.
Prabhuji, one more question. Let's,
Yeah.
Trivikrama and Vishwakarma both are same, Prabhuji?
In this context, yes, the Vishwakarma in here is referring to Trivikram. Yeah, I do not know why that name is used. I think perhaps Vishwakarma in the same sense that, the one who performed a Herculean task to span the whole world. I think in that sense, Trivikrama, which I actually almost have the similar meaning.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah, Santanam Prabhu, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. I have Draupadi was in trouble and she was saying Govinda, Govinda's name. Lot like Simani or.
Yeah. So once you call to the Lord with love, then you say Krishna, you say Hare Krishna, you say Ram, you will achieve all objectives. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, right, in the Shikshashtaka, that all your names are infused with all your divine potencies. So see, these certain compositions of prayers in a particular stotra in a particular way invoke a particular kind of energy. So simply by chanting Krishna, Rama once with devotion, one can achieve that with pure devotion. In fact, what to speak of that, even when one is attacked by negative energies, even by ghosts for that matter, if one just chants the name of the Lord, the negative entities are unable to attack us or hold on to us. Radhanath Maharaj mentions many pastimes like this. He had that experience. So in New Vrindavan, there would be a ghost. So when they would walk through the forest, the ghost would attack them. And when they would attack them, they would chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and then the ghost would run away. So the devotees would like to play with the ghost like that. Every time they would pass through the forest, he would come, he would jump. So I have also had similar experiences, not in New Vrindavan forest, my own life, and I always felt numerous times, even you chant in your mind, the negative entities are unable to hold on to you. So ultimately, if the potency is not so much the stotra is there is a particular arrangement of letters. Ultimately, the potency is coming from the name. But to invoke the potency in the name, you have to call out the name with that kind of an effect. So if one is a pure devotee, he just calls out to Krishna, with pure devotion, that is adequate. But for devatas and mixed devotees, they may have to rely on elaborate stotras to invoke energies in a particular way, to suit a particular purpose. That's also okay. You understand? Yeah.
I have one more. Guru Pranam is it same like Kavacha mantra for us?
Yeah.
Guru Pranam.
Guru's protection is, very, very special kind of protection. So I think, did I share or maybe I forwarded that story? There was one, maybe I'll just tell this to you. Yeah, Guru's praying to the spiritual master is also very, very powerful kind of protection. So there was one devotee who was a brahmachari, was in the ashram of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He was a brahmachari. Then for some reason, he went away from the ashram. I do not know all the circumstances. And then he took to sinful life. He gave up devotional service. He gave up chanting. He took to sinful life. I don't know how long he was, but for some short period. Eventually, when he left his body, not very far, maybe after some, I think he got some disease or something, he left his body. Apparently, Yamadutas came to grab him. Now, I don't know why they came. Perhaps there was a reason. When the story ends, you may know why. So, Yamadutas came, they grabbed him, they took him to Yamaraj. And while so many others, he was seeing that everybody else in the line was quickly being dispatched to hell. When his turn came, Chitragupta and the assistants, they were deliberating for a long time what to do with this person. They didn't talk to him, they were deliberating. Then they finally discussed amongst themselves and decided that this case requires escalation. So they called Yamaraj to the assembly. They called Yamaraj and said, special case, please decide what to do. Huh? So Yamaraj looked at the accounts and of course Yamaraj understood that he has practiced devotional service for some part of his life, even though so many of his later years he has been very sinful. So it is said Yamaraj meditated for a few seconds on Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati appeared there in hell. And this devotee saw his guru appear in the hell in front of Yamaraj, and they offered respects to each other. And Yamaraj asked Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, I don't want to decide this case. I leave it to you. You are the guru. You decide what to do with him. He like this has happened. He has given up devotional service, this, that, and now he has done so much sins. So what to do? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati looked at his disciple and chastised him. Why you did like this, like that, and all that. So he begged forgiveness from his spiritual master. And spiritual master said, no, don't do this again. I am intervening on your behalf. But, don't do this. I will not do this again. And it is said suddenly, the devotee then appeared back in his body, this world. And the body was just about to be lighted with fire on the funeral pyre. And he suddenly got up. And they, all the people thought he's a ghost, and many people ran away. Got up and he came and he ran immediately back to the matha and surrendered his life and continued to follow the process of devotional service. So he said that my spiritual master saved me. So this is a true episode. So the guru, is taking care of us and protecting us. In fact, for those who are devotees, those who are connected to the Lord, they are protected by many, many divine entities. So, yeah, prayers to the Guru are also very effective. When one is in danger, one can also pray to one's spiritual master. That's also very effective. Okay. So there are many ways, and all ways are effective. So wherever one feels most connected and one most connected in the heart, then the prayer will be most effective. Yeah. Sudhir Sundar Prabhu, you want to say something?
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu,
Yeah.
Just to confirm a point. So as a devotee Prabhu, of course, there are so many different prayers. So if our discern mood is just to surrender to what is said, Guru and Krishna, is it in the right discern mood? Because ultimately, as a devotee, the Lord kind of takes charge of everything, isn't it? So if our mood is just to surrender to what we said, Guru and Krishna, is it Is it something which is right, Prabhu? Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, in principle, yes, Prabhu, that is adequate. So, genuine devotion and genuine surrender and calling out is the essential ingredient. So, what all these various prayers ultimately do is, these prayers are actually exercises in spiritual consciousness. Just like if you want to develop our muscles, we go to the gym and do particular kind of exercises. Biceps, we do something, triceps, we do something, legs, we do something. So prayers are actually, when they are said with the right consciousness, they train our consciousness to think and mold our consciousness in a particular way. But ultimately, what is most important is to have that consciousness. One has that consciousness, and with the right consciousness, one simply chants Hare Krishna, that is also adequate. So we don't want to minimize the value of these prayers because these prayers train us in the right consciousness. That is the main purpose of all these prayers. They have so much transcendental knowledge within them. They also have divine potency. So of course, in a very simplified way, one can say it is not necessary and all that. That is at one level technically correct. But at the same time, they also have so many wonderful qualities and values, and they will also benefit us. So for us, our main practice, of course, is to worship Krishna and Guru and take shelter. But all these prayers, even if we may not do them as part of daily sadhana, time to time, just like we sing bhajans to mold our consciousness. Similarly, these various stotras, time to time when we recite, they also nourish us spiritually. They help to shape our consciousness the right way. You understand what I mean? Yeah. So we don't want to minimize them. But yes, ultimately, if we can chant with the right consciousness, faith and devotion, even one name of Hari, any name of Hari for that matter, even once, that is perfect. Our problem is not that. Our problem is we are unable to chant with the right faith, devotion and consciousness. So all these various prayers and stotras help us to shape our consciousness in a particular way so that we can effectively call out the name. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Yeah, Suresh, you have a question to be asked?
Prabhuji, is it late for you or can I take it in next class?
No, I'm okay. It's never too
Prabhuji,
late
some
for
more
discussing Bhagavad.
general question. In one of the chapters in Bhagavad Gita, it says that the soul enters through rain. Soul comes back through rain and it produces grain. Then man eats, then vital fluid, and child is born, right? And in Bhagavatam, during the process when the child is being conceived, so it says that first a mass is formed, then the soul enters into the mass through, if my understanding correct, through head. So what is the exact through head? Maybe I'm wrong, Prabhu, actually. So
I don't think there is any such. If there's a verse you can show, I don't think there is
no,
any
maybe
mention
I'm
like
wrong
this.
actually.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, the explanation of the child in the womb, of how the womb develops from a small, from the union of the egg and the sperm, and how it grows into the embryo and how it develops, all that is described in the Bhagavad. Yeah. So the typical scenario, the scenario which is explained in the purport of the Bhagavad Gita, is essentially the case where, and that may not be the only scenario that is explained as one scenario. There is no comprehensive list of all scenarios.
okay.
But general understanding is at the time of conception, the soul has to be present for life take effect. Okay. Now, whether that soul comes, generally the understanding is that the soul will come through the union and gets passed from the male to the female. Generally, that is the understanding. How does it come into the male? It usually comes through the food, right? So it is said, the description in one of the Puranas, I don't remember which one, is that as the Devatas in heaven, when their Shine Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti, once their Punya becomes over, suddenly it is said the Devatas, they are having a party in heaven, suddenly their body falls from the heaven.
Okay.
It's a sudden, it's like the land becomes hollow and they just fall because as soon as their karma ends. So it's quite a scary exit. It's not that, okay, now you come in line, this is your token number, now you board, now you go down. No, said they fall. There is a description given in the scripture. It says, and as they are falling, they are so scared and they start crying. Oh, my heavenly life is now ended. So as they are crying, tears come from their eyes. The soul leaves through the eyes, through the tears of the Devata body. And those tears mix with the rains. And then they fall on the earth, and the rest you already described. So this is one scenario. This may not be the only scenario, because not that only Devatas become humans. A cow may become a human also. So how exactly the soul goes, I don't know unless it's mentioned somewhere. But net, whatever is the divine arrangement, at the end of the day, the soul comes at the time of conception. That is the general understanding.
Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything else? Anyone? So also just a couple of things before we wind up. Makar Sankranta is coming. We are almost there. I think India is celebrating on 15th, isn't it? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, in India is it. So the beginning of Uttarayan. So that's also a nice observance. Also another very wonderful celebration coming is the installation of Lord Ramchandra in Ayodhya. So that's also a very, very wonderful, very historical occasion for all the devotees. So we are also looking forward that Lord Ramchandra, who for 500 years had been under a tent, is finally being given a befitting, actually I should not even say befitting, because how we can offer something befitting, but some wonderful offering in the form of a temple. So we are looking forward to that historical occasion where Lord Ramchandra will be situated in his beautiful temple, and where lakhs and crores of devotees can take his darshan. And this is going to be a very, very important historical occasion, because our society is also there. My spiritual master Radhanath Maharaj has been invited there by the temple, by the Ram temple authorities as a guest. So I think many dignitaries have been given invitation. So Radhanath Maharaj I believe he'll be going. Also, Gaurang Prabhu and many devotees are going there, and they are setting up a food prasad distribution. They're going to be distributing 50,000 plates of prasad every day for over a month. Thousands and thousands of pilgrims. So a lot of efforts are being done to celebrate this together. Because various organizations, Panth and Sampradayas are coming together unitedly. Because Ram, Krishna, and all these principal deities are worshipable for all of us, irrespective of our lineages. They are our common deities. We may slightly see them differently based on our specific schools, but everybody accepts Ram, Krishna, Lord Shiva, Durga Devi as the divine in its various manifestations or as energies. So do look forward to that. And in our own hearts also, let us pray for the smooth completion of the Pran Pratishtha. And in whatever way you can, for prayers or for service, do whatever. So, this historical occasion, somehow we have some contribution. Contribution doesn't necessarily mean monetary. Of course, monetary is one way, rendering services another way, in prayers, whatever way. Of course, we are not so prominent that we'll be invited ourselves to sit there, but that doesn't matter. Nonetheless, we can be there, we can watch the installation live. Our heart, we can be there. At the end of the day, we want to welcome the Lord back. That is what will make the Lord happy. And that is the real celebration. Of course, unfortunate are those who even after getting invitation don't want to go. What can be done? And more fortunate are those who are there in heart, even though they may not be there physically. So the Lord will always appreciate that so much more. So yeah, so wishing you all the best. So I will see you on the next Saturday, and on 20th. Yes. Thank you very much, Kantra. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So the next class will be Chaitanya Charitamrita. Thank you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Samavita Gaur Bhakti.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, everyone. Hari Bol.